one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone. Disappointed in everyone.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in everyone.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. Lobito! Got nothing.
I want to get out. I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right. Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing Podcast, broadcasting to you live from the True North. It's a good friend, Mr. BDA, and I sure am glad. Hey, that's right. Sure am glad that everybody could be on board for this one, fellas. In this episode, we got a fantastic one for you. We just had a fantastic fight. Was it Fight of the Year? Or Fight of the Year so far? We shall see indeed. For once, a big event delivered, and it sure was worth it, let me tell you. We're going to talk about all of what transpired today, the undercard too, some interesting fights. I don't know if we're going to be opening up the phone lines right away or later on. Depends on how many people we get in here. But before we get down to the festivities, let's get the business out of the way. You guys know the drill. If you want to donate a couple of shekels our way, you're certainly welcome to do so via the Super Chat feature. Although it's always better if you join the membership program. Join that membership program, join the Patreon for free, or donate via the Buy Me a Coffee app. Link in the description below. You get more bang for your buck that way. And if you join the membership, you get special badges, emojis, the whole shebang. But the most important thing is you continue to like, subscribe, and you spread that BDA gospel. All right? Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm talking about the Parukua, Mr. Pelavacas, Handsome Mechanic, J. Colt, Telkines, or Telekinesis, as some people call him, in the Discord as well, in the chat. Wills Lewis, La Evolucion, shout out to La Evolucion, Langsbury, Marty McFly, Rusty Taylor, Sate Soda, Sam Rando, shout out to Sam Rando, one of the initiated, Ralph Unreal, Kane Mack, Rapax Trucking Company, 10-4, who said, Ubu Chingazos, that's right. Lots of chingazos. Finally, a big fight delivers, right? Shout out to Nightmare, another one of the initiated, La Losoto Gaming 13, Gonzalo's in there, Knockout Ned, Official Scorecard Boxing, aka Steph K, and many more people to come. I'm sure, fellas, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, let's get down to it. Let me invite a couple of people here, and then we'll see how we proceed with the phone lines. So, for those of you who have been living under the rock, or a rock rather, Chris Eubank Jr. defeats Conor Benn by scores of 116-112 across the board, unanimous decision. And I gotta tell you, I was watching the fight while reading the Discord play-by-play that some people were offering, and that seems to be the consensus that yes, Chris Eubank deserved to win the fight. However, the scorecards perhaps a little wider than the fight actually was. I mean, Eubank was fighting on fumes. And that's the thing. Okay, we got Gonzalo here. Gonzalo, before we get to anything, did Conor Benn absorb those bombs because he didn't have to cut weight? Or did he absorb them because Eubank had to cut weight?
Well, I don't think that Eubank was
suffering any kind of consequence of slightly missing weight by 2 grams or half a pound, or that he had a 10-pound stipulation on the rehydration, because I was surprised that Eubank speed carried. He was quick in there. Was he tired? Probably. Did it affect him overall? Because yes, still he's used to fighting at a bigger weight. Well, no, the difference between one guy to the other was evident. Conor Benn was a smaller guy. Eubank retained the speed. Was he tired? Yes, but he was still throwing punches and pushing Eubank back. It was a competitive fight. I thought it was close. But like I said, the size difference was evidence, and that could sway the judges because of the ring control. No, I wouldn't say he was really tired, PDA, whereas that's the reason he was holding. Because I thought that Conor Benn was holding as well. Because it was Eubank that was putting a lot of pressure because of the size. So yes, he was retaining some of his recuperative power still. So I don't think he was really that drained, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, both guys were falling into the clinch, and it wasn't full on clinching like some of these back foot bitches do, where they just grasp onto their opponent like a vice grip type hugging, and then just wait for the referee to separate. These guys were fighting in the clinch, and I kind of like the fact that the referee was letting them fight inside the clinch. You see, either you allow these guys to do it, or you don't. You don't let one guy do it and the other guy, and you prevent the other guy from doing so, because then it creates an unfair advantage. But in this one, it did seem to work out that way, that both guys were allowed to do their stuff on the inside. Now, I'm looking at the chat. I'm trying to look at the chat here. Some people are saying Eubank won. Someone else is saying Benn should have won it. So I guess it was that close, but most people seem to say that Yardy won that fight. I'm going to create a poll when I get the chance here. I'm going to let you guys decide, you guys in the audience, vote, because I'm really trying to get a why is the phone number up, by the way? I'm trying to get a feel for the boxing world. Again, like I said, on the Discord, most people felt that Eubank was the winner. But whoever you had winning, or whomever you had winning, it was still a very close fight. Very competitive. So, very enjoyable fight, I must say. We got Sobers, too, on the line. Sobers, are you there?
Yo.
What's up, man? What a fight, man. What'd you think of the decision?
Yo, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Okay, cool. The fight was really good. It was really close. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would.
All right.
It was a fight where I'm not really invested in either fighter. Like, I'm not like a big fan of either guy, so I can enjoy it more objectively that way, and I can score it better. And I remember saying that I remember saying the other day that I think Chris Eubank is a much better fighter than Conor Benn, and I just thought that the weight stipulations and everything being set up against Chris Eubank was going to cause him to get stopped, right? But I guess I overestimated Conor Benn. He's even worse than I thought. You know, I disagree with Gonzalo. I think they're both exhausted. I think Chris Eubank was exhausted. He was ready to get stopped multiple times in that fight. You know, he just showed more grit. And he sucked it up and he put pressure on Conor Benn, and this dude couldn't hurt him, right? I mean, no, there's times where he actually did hurt Chris Eubank in that fight, where he was stumbled around, and Conor Benn just couldn't follow up. So it's like the dude. And I also heard that they were arguing about the kind of gloves that they're trying to use the day before, right? So they had the weight stipulations. They made this dude come to a weight class that he couldn't make weight at anymore. They took $500,000 away from him for like half a pound. And then they told him you can't gain but 10 pounds the next day. Mm-hmm. He made that one, right? He made the 170. He came in under 170 the next morning. And then they had a controversy about the gloves, right? So they're completely stacking the cards against Chris Eubank. And they're trying to build Conor up to, I guess, to push him further because he's a young dude. He completely missed the opportunity. He didn't show up. Chris Eubank showed his heart in that 12th round. And I thought it was a really close fight, but I think that 12th round, you know, even though the cards were going to have him winning no matter what, like to me, watching that fight, the grit he showed in the last 2 rounds really took that fight for Chris Eubank, right? Because he just was pressure in that last round. Right. And he didn't let Conor give him nothing. He didn't let Conor take nothing from him. And I really think that this dude Eubank was on the verge of getting knocked out at any point, right? So that's why I think that, you know, he deserved that win.
Yeah. No, well, my point to a BDA response was like somebody was holding on for dear life. If I don't think one guy was more excessively tired than the other. Yes, they were both tired, but as evident to the type of fight that delivered beyond people's pronostications, like it turned out to be better. So in other words, the tempo was there. Obviously, one guy was smaller, the other was bigger. The smaller guy was in there with the bigger guy, although the bigger guy was trying to impose his will. Were they both surviving in there? No, but they were both in a fight. In other
I
words,
feel like
they were both tired.
I
But
feel
it
like that weight
delivered.
class way,
When you give it
like
at the end of the day, when you give it your all, you're going to be tired anyhow. Because you tried, and then trying doesn't mean that one guy was in my opinion, on the verge of getting knocked out. Although Eubank did very well, I thought that Benn was also in there because prior to the last two rounds, that I know that Eubank won, and I agree with you. It was Benn that won the three. Some people have it Benn. Eubank winning the ninth, but I thought he swept three. Then Eubank closed the last two in the close rounds.
Yeah,
I
by the
agree.
way,
Well, I was gonna say
sorry.
though, I think the weight cut neglected negated the size. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, it's
and also BDA they put him in a tiny ring. They put him in an 18-foot ring. I forgot to mention that. So the gloves, the weight, and the ring were all on your side, bro.
Well, I was thinking that the 18-foot ring, because it's not a 20 or a 22. That's just like 4 feet. Like that's like 4 foot
That's a
lanes
small
on
ring,
either
bro.
side. Yeah, it's a small ring, but if I'm thinking, because like I mentioned to BDA, I'm glad that the ring is shining, is all turkey out that she's playing. Go for it, dude, because the fight delivered. The 18-inch ring
Mm-hmm.
proved to be suited for the occasion. I like it.
Yeah, you know what? I am trying to figure out, like, that's why I asked Gonzalo. I mean, why, how did Ben manage to take those shots from the bigger guy? Was it because Ben didn't have to cut down to 147 and was fighting at his walking around weight? Or was it because Ben was dehydrated? But you're right, it was a circus. Shout out to Del Boy in the chat who says, glad that rodent Ben got beat. Some Randall says, Eubank definitely won that fight. Anyone saying it should have been a draw? I don't know what they were watching. Hand History says, at most Eubank won by at least 3 rounds, he's saying. Lion Legal, check your DMs, man, because I sent you an invite because I haven't opened the phone lines yet. Shane Shanks says, not a fan of either, but them scorecards were disgraceful. Whoa, okay, so he feels that they were a little bit too wide. True Crime Scotsman says, Chris turning up with his dad. Only British fans can understand the history of this fight. All right, we're going to be going back to the comments, and I think I'm going to be dropping the Discord link.
No, BDA.
Oh, hold on, Gonzalo, hold on. Let me just finish here. And because the phone lines, I seem to be having a little bit of trouble with the phone lines, so we're not going to open them up yet. And by the way, just real quick, lest anyone, they were trying to calibrate the scale on Friday with a fucking kettlebell. It was a whole mess. It did seem like Ben was getting preferential treatment in the way he was being talked to by the BBOC as opposed to how Eubank's team was being talked to. And then somebody in the chat, in the Discord, sorry, I forget who he was. I'm going to check it out later. But somebody told me, hey, the BBOC's headquarters are literally in a house somewhere in Wales because of a lawsuit. And I checked it out. You can check it out on Google.
Oh my God.
It's not doxing or anything. I can't share it with you guys on Discord, but I'm putting it up on the screen on YouTube. There it is. That's the BBOC's headquarters. I think right next to this is a kebab shop. So if you go to the BBOC, you're gonna get the smell of garlic and shit like that stuck on your clothes. Them's the headquarters. I'm not kidding. So if you're acting surprised about why it's such a mess over there in England, I think that sort of explains a little bit right there. I think they also
Yeah,
shoot
I don't know.
porn.
I don't know if you can trust businesses that are running out of their house, BDA, right?
Well, if it's an accountant or something, I can go with that. But I think
it's
I
a
also
little ghetto. If you're getting a tattoo, maybe.
yeah,
Right,
maybe,
you're getting a tattoo,
right?
or maybe
Barbershop.
your girl's getting her nails done. She's trying to get it
Right.
for the low. But some girl who does it at her house, but someone to do your taxes and you know what I'm saying, all that shit. You know,
What about an abortion?
No,
maybe.
What I wanted to say, BDA, and look, listen, the size difference was clear. I didn't anticipate. It's like the Gualtieri fight, the Italian dude versus Janibek. I didn't think inside the ring, maybe because of the close-ups, the face-offs were that close up, because they had to maintain their distance. When you see the two guys for the first time inside of the ring, I was like, damn, now I know Conor Benn's true size. He's like 5'6.5", 5'7".
Yeah, well, he's short.
He's stocky and everything. But no, I didn't anticipate that the weight discrepancy to be that clear, like that evident. But anyways, when I thought that Benn was gonna mount to rally, I will say this, because I had it close and generally speaking throughout the 12 rounds. But when Conor Benn never mounted a rally where you could say that he ever imposed his will. It was Eubank holding his ground and pushing the smaller man back. And was Eubank imposing his will? No, but sometimes Benn got caught with some good shots that I was like, damn, dude. Now when I thought the round was up in the air, this Eubank dude all of a sudden put it on like with 1-2 shots, pushed the other guy back. That I could have said the round was close, but then some people would say, yeah, Eubank won that round because of the size difference.
And you know what's interesting about that? Looking at the crowd, the ambience for that fight was unreal. I mean, I know we've had big fights from the UK before, with Joshua and Fury. This one, I don't know, man. I hadn't felt that energy from a crowd or from an overall event in a long time. Just goes to show you, man, that the U.S. right now, everybody keeps harping on the U.S. like, Benavidez. Oh, we got to fight in Vegas. We got to fight in Vegas. Why? 5,000 people show up or people begging Inoue to fight in the United States. He's fighting in the United States in a week from now. It's fucking empty.
And nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. So, hey, man, the UK, that's where it's
a good point. Somebody mentioned a good point, and I heard somebody asking Canelo what was the fight, or one of Canelo's opponents, like what the atmosphere, as you mentioned, BDA, with this fight. I think it was Saunders Canelo at a Houston stadium in Texas. The vibe was crazy there too, but this fight was like 66,000 people. That's a lot. So when you're reaching the threshold of that amount of people, for some reason, I mean, it's like an event. It's badass. Yeah, I could see that. The atmosphere. They must have felt it. Plus the bad blood, dude. It was a cool fight. Like the dude's like Chris Eubank, what he said, I actually got a little respect for him. In the sense that he said he brought it out of me. Now, in the grand scheme of things, now you had to wait for this fight to happen when you're older to bring it out of you. In what sense? So I'm just saying, Benn is a good fighter. He's clearly smaller. He hung with this dude. This doesn't mean that Eubank is garbage or that he cannot compete, because he's truly a 147 pounder. So he didn't lose out of this fight. Like as far as his status.
That's what I was wondering too.
Ben.
That's what I was wondering too, watching this fight. I'm thinking, okay, Chris Eubank looks exhausted. He's pushing through by sheer will. How would this fight have looked without the rehydration clause? That's why even if they would have given it to Benn, I don't think he would have had much to celebrate, because I mean you did dehydration clause. And I don't know. I don't like dehydration clauses. If you're gonna fight a bigger guy,
they had the rehydration clause, BDA. They had the tiny ring, and then they had the issue with the gloves.
Right.
Well, but then that begs the question. Eubank tired?
But hold on. Then that begs the question. Then people gotta settle on something, because the Tank fans now, they agree that there's such a thing as weight bullying. But then now you got Jaron and his fans saying, no, there's no such thing as weight bullying. So which one is it? We need to come to a consensus. Is there such a thing as weight bullying? Gonzalo, what say ye?
Well, of course there's such a thing as weight bullying. It just, people that are younger, like in this, thinking about maybe David Benavidez, and you can make other examples where a fighter's younger. It's like when you go out drinking when you're younger, you can recover quicker. Mm-hmm. But weight bullying when you're older, yeah, that's probably worse. And if Eubank is weight bullying the smaller guy when he's older, well, no, correction, the other way around. It's gonna write a check that your ass can't catch, because you're gonna end up paying the price. It's like Golovkin when we was 41, fighting at higher weight, 168 versus Canelo. And the third fight, your output's not gonna be the same. But if I saw Eubank tired, BDA. Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of pushing a little back in this sense. It's because he was really trying and he held his own. But he held his own against a smaller fighter. And it doesn't mean that he didn't hold his own, he didn't perform well, that he didn't try, and that he didn't win, because he did. But skill for skill right now, if they were the same size, I don't know. Like I think Ben performed well in there too. Did he lose the fight? Okay, yes. That's how the judges had it. I'm just saying, if Eubank looked tired, is because he did really hold his own. He tried, and he held his own enough to where he kind of put the dude, his opponent, in check. You know, not in a standstill, but enough to win the fight.
Hey, I gotta ask too. Then, what was the issue? Go ahead, Zobers, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I just want to say the one thing about the fight because we were talking about this on the Discord, right?
Mm-hmm.
Check out the Never Sober's blog post. We host them every weekend. The link in description. No, I'm just
completely
playing,
legal, by the way. Completely legal.
So, hold on. The one thing I want to say about the fight was because we were talking about this on the Discord, right? Everyone kept mentioning this. It was a really dirty fight from both guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was in a good way, right? Because the referee was favoring Conor Benn. That's another thing that he had in his favor. Anything Conor Benn did, the referee would ignore, and then it got to a point where Chris Eubank was getting repeated.
You know why that is?
Well, let me finish what I'm saying, bro. So it was it got to the point where the referee was giving repeated warnings to Chris Eubanks. When if you look at the back of Chris Eubanks' head and his shoulders, it's all red. He was eating a lot of rabbit punches, right? But Chris Eubank himself was throwing his head behind his right hand, right? So he'd throw a 1-2 and then he'd come in with his head. So he was like throwing a 3-punch combination in essence.
I'll just say that the fight should not have even taken place in the first case. And second of all, if it did take place, Eubank should not have showed as much desperation as he did, accepting a rehydration clause. The ringside was in fact, the weight, everything basically, and then even the fact that he had to pay a fine. So even if he pays a fine, boxer could have said that, okay, the fine that you pay is $50,000, $85,000, etc. To accept a $500,000 fine. What is going on at boxer in general? But the most important thing is that if you get a athlete who is high profile, like Canelo, for example, is Canelo going to be accepted? No. Hold on. Is Canelo going to accept conditions like that? Eubank accepted those conditions because he's desperate, and this is why he put himself in that position. Can you imagine after the performance today, after Benn, who came up two weight classes? Can you imagine Eubank facing Benavidez, because that is essentially close to the weight that he fights at? Benavidez fought at 160. Can you imagine Eubank facing Canelo? Can you imagine him facing?
All right, we get the point. Hold on, let me say this. Hold on. Let me say this because obviously the answer of why this fight happened because of the money. But then that also begs the question. Look, I understand Ryan Garcia fighting Tank Davis. At least they're in the same category, the same stratosphere of weight. Eubank accepting this fight too. He's a middleweight. Why? Like you said, he's desperate. Why is he desperate? Why is he accepting this fight in the first place? And here's the thing. There was a big demand for this fight because look at the amount of people that showed up. 60,000 plus people showed up. I mean, that's the answer right there. The money.
PBA. Just because there's a big demand for you to do something doesn't mean that you have to do it.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
It already shows that
to the caller, the conversation was getting a little scintillating. I agree. No, you hold on. Let me say something. The conversation was getting a little scintillating, but this is what I have to say. Nobody said that Eubank can compete against Canelo. That's where I'm fucking all of a sudden you lost me. But then again,
hold on, Gonzalo, because they floated that fight around. They said that. Hold on. They said that. Hold on. Let me jump in because they brought up Canelo.
Let Gonzalo. Let Sobers break it down. Let Sobers break it down.
So look, Chris Eubank Jr. was floated around as a name for a potential Canelo opponent. I think 2 years ago. So, and I also heard that rumors that Turkey was entertaining the idea of the winner of this fight between Benn and Eubank Jr. to potentially face Canelo. So say Canelo beats Skull, say Canelo beats Crawford. He has a 4-fight deal. Who will you fight next? Maybe someone like Chris Eubank Jr. And I think that would be a good fight.
Sobers, let me ask you this. Did the heart that Eubank displayed today, despite suffering from dehydration, all that, does that sort of earn him a little bit in your eyes a Canelo fight?
No.
Yeah,
it
I
doesn't.
think so, bro. Look, because look, I'll say this about Chris Eubank, bro. Like I said before, he never really showed his true potential in his career, dude. But I think he's a solid fighter. He got good reflexes. He got straight power. He's a tough dude in there, right? And if and
You can't
I
say that
it
if you
shows
fought
it
a
showed
guy
I
who came up
underestimated
too
him a little
lucky.
bit, and I
He fought a
overestimated.
guy who came
I
up 2 weeks
overestimated.
and he
I
couldn't knock him out.
overestimated
Hold
Connor
Hold on, one
Benn.
at a time, one
This
at
is
a
a
time,
guy
one
I
at a
who
time. Hold on, hold on,
overestimated
one at a
Connor
time,
Benn.
one at a time, one at a
Let me
time,
say something.
one at a time. Gonzalo, you go, and then we'll let Lion
Okay,
Legal go. All right?
Okay. Yeah, this is my reply. Who's older, Chris Eubank or Canelo? I think Chris Eubank's 36. I think Canelo
I
might
think
be
he might be a
younger.
year,
I'm
maybe
not
like a year or two away, maybe like about a year.
okay. So now you have Canelo. Look at all his accolades compared to Chris Eubank, and I actually think Canelo's bigger. So now, in my opinion, no, yes, he might win the fight according to the rankings, but he's never gonna beat Canelo. So to me,
Well,
Well, never. The fact of the matter is that Eubank should have fought a lot of these fights a long time ago. When he first started his career, you saw the ferocity, you saw the tenacity, you saw he fought with alacrity. But now he has a very halting, almost as if he's tepid and he's scared to engage with the opposing fighter. There's no way that if you're talking about a person who is supposed to be the
of course,
division
so
and you're fighting somebody else who no, dude, I didn't interrupt you. Let me just finish my spiel and then I'll leave the panel for for the rest of you. Anyway, so fighting
the
a
fuck?
fighter who came up 2 or 3 take 12 rounds, you can't knock him out at all. In fact, Ben impressed me more because Ben, in my opinion, more alacrity than Eubank did. Eubank looked like he was about to gas out, and just like the other
You're breaking up.
out.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, you're breaking up, man.
No, Connor Benn.
Hold on, let him finish. Guys, you gotta stop. Hold on, Gonzalo, you gotta let. We're talking over each other. Let the guy, the person who's speaking, finish. Leave a buffer. Leave a buffer of about 2-3 seconds after a guy finishes speaking, so that we know that he's finished speaking. All right. And the guy, Lion Legal left. I think he was having connection issues. But go ahead, Gonzalo. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Roger that. Yes, look, Connor Benn, he's a little tank. He's tough. I believe, did he fight Figueroa or Granados or something? No,
yes.
I'm just thinking his body type, he's like a little tank, like Danny Garcia, even like a Teofimo Lopez. The big difference here, look, I just got to be objective, was the size objective. The size disparity was evident. It was clear. Eubank was the bigger guy. Ben was a smaller. He's still a tough guy. He's a little tank. But now put Eubank next to Canelo. Correction. Put Connor Benn next to Canelo. Little tank, big tank. Now Ben was in there with Eubank. You put the big tank Canelo against Eubank, a guy that accomplished everything in his career. The other guy was like a never was, still 68 pounder. But then Canelo's 1 year older than Eubank. Dude, who are you facing? The better fighter. If Eubank never wanted to fight Golovkin in his prime, and Canelo's just as tough now, as far as having that beard and strong and like fucking power, dude, he's not gonna hurt Canelo because he's the big tank.
Can I just say that? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, it's just Canelo's is so much bigger than Eubank, and if they're closer in size, because he's obviously bigger than the little tank and the Connor Benn, dude, he's not gonna fucking do anything to Canelo. This is my opinion. Because one guy, I'm not saying that Eubank's a YouTuber. He's just a guy that never was. Like you said, he won the IBO title, WBO, what you call it. But
yeah, but I want to say something about that, Gonzalo. About Eubank. Listen, the real winner tonight was Connor Benn, in my opinion.
Whoa.
Like Gonzalo said, and everybody said, like that size difference was significant. You could see it in the ring. And Connor Benn and Eubank went life and death with this guy. And this is Eubank's biggest win.
What about the rehydration clause,
his
though?
biggest win is against a welterweight.
But what about the dehydration
he went life and death with. Even with the rehydration clause, come on, the size difference was significant. And what did he do in the fight? He just basically, started using his weight at the end. That was what was happening. Both guys were getting tired, but one's bigger. What happens in that situation, Connor Benn, he can still go down. He wants to stay at 160, he said, but I think he should go to 154, even though it's a crazy-ass division. and try to make something happen there. But when it comes to Chris Eubank Jr., what's next for this guy? To be honest, I mean, nothing. He's in the same position as he was before. A guy that never really accomplished anything.
Well, that's the thing about
and he's not going to get a Canelo fight.
That's the thing about Chris Eubank Jr. I've said. That's the thing about Chris Eubank Jr. Man, it's this dude. He's lost to Billy Joe Saunders, George Groves, and Liam Smith. I mean, come on, it's every time and I know he eventually lost to Smith, but and listen, he's done well. He did well against Saunders and Groves. Those guys were clinching the heck out of him, but still, he lost those fights. His best wins. We were talking about that on the week of the fight. Ring Magazine did a compendium of his top 5 wins. Yildirim, Zedemeta, all these guys are just little asterisks on Golovkin and Munguia's name, for example, or Canelo's resume. Meanwhile, these are Chris Eubank Jr.'s best wins. Like Bucho said, he made a good point. This is one of his biggest wins, a guy coming up from welterweight. So, yeah, it's Eubank should, that's why he took the fight, like Lion Legal was saying. He's desperate. Yeah, he's desperate. That's why he's taking the fight. Why is he fighting a welterweight? Because there was a demand for it. And again, I'm not justifying it. I'm just explaining it. That's what it was.
There was a family names that were involved, right? There's that family rivalry, the Eubanks and the Benn.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what it was.
He also got a little bit of a gift.
Who?
That fight could have went either way.
Yeah, in my eyes, it was closer than 116, 112.
Way closer. It could have been I think it could have been 115, 113 either way, or 114, 114.
Well, okay, let me ask Gonzalo. Gonzalo, who did you have winning? Because I think I missed it. Who did you have winning? Okay, Conor Benn. Recognize that Conor Benn. Gonzalo?
No, when I counted the rounds, I say it was a draw because Benn won 3, then Eubank won the last 2, and I think Benn won the first 2 rounds. So it was a close fight when it comes to counting the rounds. But I would say Eubank looked like he was imposing his size. Because that was true. He was the bigger guy. So the optics... Well, let me say this also. Just got to be honest. Benn got caught with some clean punches by Eubank. And Eubank's speed was there. So it really, I would say that Eubank, even though it was a close fight... and I actually stepped to the bathroom when I believe I heard the narrator say that that Benn got hurt in the second round. I didn't see that. But to me, it was a draw. But if you had Eubank winning, I don't disagree.
You think Eubank get hurt in the 3rd round?
Something like that. I stepped to the bathroom. I didn't see that.
No. What do you think, guys? I remember Eubank getting hurt in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Is it a second?
I mean, listen, this is not a good look for Eubank.
Yeah, because you know what?
A bigger guy.
That's a good point because
this is his biggest win. He's 35 or 36.
Hey, look, and I told BD, he got pieced up in the 8th round. Eubank got beat in the 8th round, dude. He got hurt.
I recognize. What were you saying?
I was going to say Eubank was a bit drained. I could tell. He was drained in that ring. He was. He's. I'm not saying he's exceptionally better than what you saw today, but he just looked a little weaker at times. He looked like he picked his spots when to fight, especially early. I thought later on, Conor Benn, especially the last 2 rounds, looked like he was starting to fade.
Well, here's the interesting thing about that, because you're thinking, the dehydration clause can affect him later on. If he's getting caught early, the dehydration clause can affect him later on in the fight, in the later stage. The fact that he was getting kicked from the 1st round on, the guy, Chris Eubank, one of the things that his main line of defense are his legs, his upper body movement once he's on the ropes. For the most part, it's his legs. He keeps his hands down. He's trying to fight like Roy Jones, and he was fighting a guy in Conor Benn who's very explosive. The problem is Conor Benn, being the shorter guy, couldn't maintain that explosiveness. I was going to say explosivity. He couldn't maintain that explosiveness throughout the fight. He slowed down by around the 5th or 6th, and that's when the fight got really interesting. Let me just read a couple of super chats real quick here. Shout out to Marty McFly for his contribution with the super chat. He says, the ref was acting like his dad reffed the Nigel Chris Sr. fight. The ref was acting like his dad reffed the Nigel Chris... Oh, wait a minute. Was the referee the son of the guy who reffed the original Benn Eubank series? Interesting. I didn't know that. I don't know if that's what he meant. Sorry, Marty McFly. Shout out to I'm Your Leader for reestablishing his membership program. Says, Ben swinging and missing was embarrassing. They were both trash. He's calling both trash. But to me, Eubank clearly won. All right, there you go. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit that like, hit that like, hit that like. There's no excuse for not hitting that like. More people should hit it. We're at 49. I wanna see it to get to at least 80. 21 people hit that like. And we get it to, no, excuse me, what am I talking about? 31. 31 people hit that like, we get it to 80, right, fellas? I think we can all do that.
So, DDA, can I disagree with what Bucho and Recognizer are saying a little bit?
Oh,
I can't. Oh fuck.
What happened? Did you piss yourself?
Okay.
No. I thought you said I couldn't, but I was just trying to make a joke.
No, I said yeah, okay. I said okay.
So, okay, my bad. So yeah. So I think that I was picking Benn to win by knockout.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? I do think Chris is bigger, and it was obvious or whatever, but I feel like they stacked everything against Chris Eubank Jr. in a way that they're trying to set him up to get knocked out. They wanted him the same way he was against Liam Smith, kind of underestimating his opponent, hard time making the weight, and susceptible midway through the fight. And it looked like it was on its way to happening because there's times where he got rocked, he got hurt by the smaller dude, but Benn couldn't close the deal. And one thing also I noticed about Conor Benn, this dude's undersized at 147. Like I was saying that on the other show, this dude's undersized at 147, so he's tiny at 160. He'll get destroyed at 154. He's not Canelo. Like Gonzalo was saying, but I think they're the same height, to be honest. But Canelo's just better. And yeah, like I was trying to say, they stacked the cards against Chris Eubank. They put him in the small ring. They had him with the rehydration clause. They had him with the glove issues, and then they were all against him. Like whenever they were at a press conference, Chris Eubank was arguing with everyone at the other table. You know what I'm saying? He was also going back and forth to Conor Benn, but it looked like the whole promotion was against him, and I think it was leading that way. And yeah, I think he showed something extra to actually overcome that. Something that I didn't think he had.
So you're saying he's the victim?
Yeah, and not only is he better.
Go ahead, Go ahead, Gonzalo.
BDA, the thing that I saw too that Conor Benn was doing, he was falling off his front foot a lot when he was throwing these big hooks with the power hand, with the trail hand. He was kind of falling on his back foot towards the front, where he was losing his position. Falling on his front foot. He was falling on his front foot where his back foot had no balance. Right when you go big with the trail hand. Right when you're swinging a home run shot. So you're stepping in with your back foot, and you're falling on your front foot, and you're kind of not knowing where you're landing or have the balance to throw the punch that you want to land, that home run shot. Yeah, that's the thing, man. And Canelo's way bigger than Eubank. Not tall size, but just girth wise. I mean, he's more powerful.
I mean, pause on that.
I mean, that's the way it works nowadays. You gotta say pause.
Everything tight.
You gotta tell the truth, man.
Everything tight.
You know what? Let me read a super chat here real quick. Like I said, don't forget to hit that like, hit that like, hit that like. J Nails, shout out to J Nails, says, I want to see Tim Tszyu versus Conor Benn. I think that'd be a great fight. Tons of wild action at 154. Someone for sure gonna get KO'd. I mean, Tim Tszyu, Conor Benn, like Sobers was saying, shout out to J Nails, by the way, for his contribution. Conor Benn's 5'8", and because he fights in a crouch, he seems shorter than what he actually is. So let me ask you guys, let's say he goes back to 154. Could he beat Perez, the guy who just beat Conwell?
No.
Perez, I don't know about Perez, but I was thinking he can never make the jump to 54. Because if you see his torso, the torso and the legs are skinny. It just doesn't match up. Like Canelo's just fucking broader.
He skips
I don't
legs
think
there.
he's a 54 pounder.
You know something I noticed in this fight about Conor Benn? His little Wolverine style, where he throws a lot of punches and he's really aggressive. That wasn't in this fight. He didn't have that. It looked like Eubank was doing that more than Benn was.
Seemed like
so I think that's also was a big factor. He was very reserved with his. He was more economical with his shots. Usually, when you see Conor Benn fight, he throws a lot of punches and he's very aggressive. He could not do that here.
When you fight a big fighter,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Butcher. Go ahead.
Okay, just quickly, I just feel like at the end, like Eubank Jr. was winning the fight because of he was just coming forward, but just out of what's the word, like instinct. He wasn't even aware of what the fuck he was doing. He was just this, he was just he was bigger. You know, he was taking Conor Benn's shots and he was just like letting his hands go, and that was enough to back up the smaller guy and put him on the ropes, and then win the rounds. But that was pretty much it. There was no technique, no nothing. Just he was just a bigger guy.
Look,
And that
even
was
though I
more
thought that
evident
fight
as,
could have
as,
went
as,
either
as
way,
Ben started to get tired. You start to see more of that, the size disadvantage.
even though I thought the fight could have went either way, and I kind of edged it a little bit for Conor Benn. You could say he lost those last 2 rounds, and it's interesting, right? Because I saw it. I was talking to my brother. I was like, I could see this both ways, right? Eubank, yeah, he's going to be a little bit smaller than what he's used to in that ring, but also Conor Benn's going to be fighting clearly the biggest guy he ever fought. And when you fight a big dude and you don't knock him out or you don't get him out of there early, and that fight goes on, I can't tell people enough. Like fighting a dude that you're not used to, and a size difference can actually drain a lot of your energy.
Yeah, and that's a good point recognized. But you know what? To be honest, because I have been keeping a lot with boxing on like the close ups. In other words, like these guys never did like a face off to you. They had to maintain their distance. I kind of underestimated how bigger, and I should have known that. In other words, this is what I'm trying to say. He was bigger, and I didn't know that until they were inside of the ring. I was like, damn, this dude looks smaller. To Butcher's point, because that was clear. He was
Well,
smaller. I'm not saying he looked weak. He just looked smaller.
Yeah, the Sober said about Conor Benn's like Wolverine ambush style. I thought it was working early, but then like we were talking about in the Discord, the question was, will he be able to sustain it? And once he started missing a lot, again, that don't get it twisted. That style takes a lot out of him. In fact, in his previous fight against I forget the guy's name, some Jamaican Afro Anglo guy, he was catching the guy. And then he sort of withered and slowed down because there's only so much you can punch a guy, a big target at 154, and he's already a little guy. I think something similar happened against against Chris Eubank Jr. That style of Ben's is too energy consuming. I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch. Let me tell you, I was on the edge of my seat. I'm not kidding. This fight wasn't as good as obviously as Gatti Ward or Castillo Corrales, but it had that intensity. That one guy would, flurry and catch the other guy, and then the other guy would come back with something. And it's interesting because Eubank Jr., those short shots that he was firing, and he was reminding me a little bit of Tyson Fury against Wilder, the way he pushed his smaller guy or the weaker guy back. But then after he was done doing that for about 20 seconds, he would clinch and look at the clock. He did that about 4 times. He was clearly feeling the pace. He had to push himself. And even with that, with the dehydration clause, I gotta wonder, man, should you really be strong like that against a 5'8" welterweight? I don't know. It's. I have to rewatch the fight. What do you guys think?
Well, okay, so there was a 5 pounds difference, wasn't there? Right. The weight, the contract was for 170. I think Eubank came in $170, second day weigh in, and Eubank 165. Now I would have to ask, what's Eubank been fighting in the ring?
Mm-hmm.
If it's 165, he could have had the advantage, right? Or let's say a little bit lower than that. You would think he would have more of the advantage over a guy who's going to be smaller. But then again, you could do things the right way. I don't think that's what it was. Not to say that Eubank didn't have a successful weight cut. What I'm saying is it kind of seems like it was a mixture of good tactics, meaning bringing the fight to Benn, being the bigger guy, and kind of Benn not able to deal with it. Because if it would have been anybody else, bro, they would have killed him. Like they would have knocked him out.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody who picked Eubank Jr. Is this the fight people expected? I'm talking to people in the chat as well. Is this what you were expecting the fight to look like?
No, I thought Eubank was going to quit.
One at a time. Okay, Gonzalo.
Go ahead.
Okay, Stovers.
I was expecting more from Conor Benn, and I was expecting less from Eubank.
That's a good question, Pucho. For the
Okay.
people that were picking, Eubank prior to the fight, did you? I mean, that's a good question. For the people that were picking Eubank prior to this fight, did you expect it to be as competitive as it ended up being? Because I mean, again, the rehydration clause, I hate them. The only reason why they Eubank allowed this or accepted it is because there was a demand for a huge demand. Look at the amount of people that showed up. But I mean, I gotta wonder. I hope this doesn't turn out to be the norm. Oh, here's the other thing that I hated about this. One thing I hate about this bout, there wasn't that much. At the end of the day, it was a fantastic event, fantastic fight. But this whole thing of holding the weigh-ins in the morning and then having a ceremonial one later in the day is completely ludicrous. What's the point of doing a ceremonial weigh-in? Is it to dupe the masses for some people that might not know that the weigh-in had already occurred? And make it seem like one guy didn't have to kill himself to make weight. I don't know, but it's nonsensical, and that's the other thing. It allows, in this instance, no, it didn't cause an advantage for anybody really to have a 36-hour hydration period, right? Maybe it did to Benn, I don't know. But when you see guys like Devin Haney do that, where they weigh in the morning, and then they show up to the fight, they weigh in at 140, and then they show up at the fight 165. I mean, that is an advantage, and I'm tired of people manipulating the system.
Well, just to speak on that BDA about the ceremonial weigh-ins, there is something to that, because I've seen in the UFC, they'll do the weigh-ins, right, and fighters almost faint on the scale in front of people. They'll have to be carried away. They'll have to be helped because they can't walk by themselves. Their teams will have to help them. You know what I mean? So you do see some pretty nasty stuff like that.
That's what I want to see
when they weigh in properly.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. I I won late
no,
stoppages.
No, you're right though. I agree. Everyone needs to see that shit so I can see what's really going on.
Sobers, I won late stoppages, and I want to see how the guys look at the weigh-in. That's what I want. I don't think it's too much to ask. I don't ask for much. Don't forget to hit that like, fellas. Hit the like.
No, and can we get the fucking corner talk back in between rounds?
Yeah, what happened to that, man? They keep showing. By the way, Ed Sheeran. I don't want to see that guy holding a card, the round card. I want to see ring card girls, and I don't want to see. Did you guys see that? They showed this guy. I don't know if it was really Ed Sheeran or however you pronounce his name, holding up the cards, and then they switched to a camera ringside. And Anthony Hopkins, aka Hannibal Lecter, is sitting there with his jumpsuit on and a mask, the actual fucking Hannibal Lecter mask. He's looking at the camera, leering at the audience. I don't know what they were doing over there. And like somebody said, do you guys think it was the Sheik's idea? Had to be, right?
Look, Anthony Hopkins, he's holding my hand.
The only thing missing was Mike Tyson. Probably with a mask too, prevent him from biting people.
Mike Tyson's ass in the
jeez,
the foul guard.
I want to see Mike Tyson taking his seat with a microphone nearby so we can hear him take a seat. Every time he says,
I have a question for everybody. I have a question for everybody in the chat as well. Do you guys want to see a rematch? Yes or no? Type it in the chat. Yes or no? Rematch.
The fight was competitive, yeah, but what do you want to see again?
I don't know if I want to see it again, just because it's. I mean, it's the size difference is pretty big.
Well, I'm just glad that for once, I know England started boxing and all of that. And I'm not ever gonna be like, oh, fuck them. But I'm just glad I saw a good fight from England. Because usually I'm not tuning in. Well, I do, but I'm not in it all the way because obviously I'm a Mexican dude or Mexican American. No, but it was a good fight. Like if you would say Julio Cesar Chavez level type against, the brother versus Maromerito, like a kind of like a what you call it, like a national thing. Well, this was on the world level, and it was entertaining, so it was okay. I'm not gonna shit on boxing because they were putting they were talking about the Ring magazine. Dougie Fisher was there. I know it's not world level competition, but then again, one guy was smaller, one guy was bigger.
This was better.
It doesn't mean that Ben is either because their big fights at 147. Bucho, because if Ben fights at 147, he can compete
I'm
against
saying he
those
can.
guys.
I
He
think
can
so. I
compete
don't
against
think
the
he's that
Teofimo
bad. I think
Lopez.
some people just exaggerate a little bit about Conor Benn's skills.
Conor Ben would beat Danny Garcia right
I
now.
think he took some
And
pretty
Danny
good
Garcia
punches
fought
from
at
a big guy,
54.
man. I know Eubank was dehydrated and all that shit, but he's still bigger, and he landed some flush shots on Ben, and Ben took them pretty well.
Wait, yeah, but that guy's he looks tough now, but he's like the fucking dude from the Wizard of Oz, the Coward Lion, when he fights another 68 pounder, Eubank.
Oh
But
yeah,
now
Eubank.
against a
Yeah, no,
smaller
forget
guy.
about Eubank. Yeah, no, but I think Ben should move back down to 154. I don't think he should go back down to 147. I don't think after you fight, when you make that jump and you go back down again 2 weight divisions, it doesn't really help you. Like this is what happened. Kell Brook did it, and look at how that move ended up. Going back down, that ended up, to his detriment. And I remember Oscar De La Hoya. I remember he moved up to 154, then 160, then tried to go back down to 147 when he fought Pacquiao, and we'll remember what happened
No,
then. So
but
154.
Pucho, but in my opinion, Conor Ben looks no bigger than Teofimo Lopez or Danny Garcia. He
He looks
looks
like a
just
140
about the
pounder.
same size those guys are.
He looks like a 140 pounder, man.
Yeah,
All right,
he just looks small, dude. Now I didn't see that before.
All right. First of all, shout out to everybody in the chat.
Rematch at 147.
Shout out to everyone in the chat. We got 34 people voting so far on the poll. Benn versus Eubank rematch, yay or nay? 53% of people are saying no. Now it's up. Now it's at 53-47. 53% saying no, 47% saying yes. I gotta tell you, this is a tight race. This is like the last U.S. elections.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
People
crazy.
Well, can I say something about the chat that this dude, Dark Realities, he's trying to correct us because we're talking about the hydration.
Go ahead.
He's saying it was under IBF rules. So if that is true, right, there's only a 10-pound rehydration clause standard with the IBF, right? They did go 12 rounds, but there was no belt on the line, right?
Mm-hmm. But
Yeah,
was it sanctioned by
I
the
think
IBF?
I think that only applies to championship fights, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's
Well,
what I'm trying to get. That's what I'm trying to get
Yeah, I get it.
corrected. You know, they went 12 rounds, but was there an IBF belt on the line of some
No, hell no.
caliber?
Intercontinental. Well, this is the thing when it comes to like disparities and like who gets the advantage or not. Clearly, Eubank had some advantages to where if a rehydration clause was like in effect, I could see that where it's okay. It's a fair advantage because the other guy's obviously bigger and he proved that in the ring. The reason that Eubank won is because the nuance that he was bigger and that he won the fight because he held his ground according to his bigger size. So yes,
That's pretty much it. That's it.
that was an afforded excuse or a reason that Eubank did deserve that. There's nuances, right? Not always like because there's stipulations that it doesn't mean that it's not a fair fight. Because obviously, if they were the same size, guess who would win?
Okay, let me say something real quick. The poll indicates the poll now indicates 54% of people want to see the rematch, and that's 57 people voting. So now it's swayed the other way. 54% of people want to see the rematch again. So I mean the rematch rather. So that lets you know there is still a huge demand for this fight. That's at least 57 people are going to show up for that fight.
Well, also, BDA, this point is fair. It doesn't mean that Eubank is a piece of shit fighter. No, all of a sudden you catch these glimpses to where maybe he can't compete with some fucking contenders, right?
To the contrary, Gonzalo.
No, I disagree now with Gonzalo.
No, to the contrary, Gonzalo. I want to see him there with Canelo. I want to see him there with Canelo.
Oh, imagine like there's no Johnny Beck. But first of all, hold on. First of all, Eubank can even make 160. Yeah, exactly. See, he's gonna have to move to 168. So who do you have on 168?
He's got a little something, and I agree with you.
I mean, yeah, he has heart because he was fucking tired at the end. He was still throwing punches, but he was fighting a smaller guy. So, okay, he has heart, but I want to see that type of determination against a guy his size, a guy who's in the top 10, top 5. I want to see that type of. Then I can, I can assess the situation and tell you whether or not this guy has heart and and all of that. But against Eubank, against a small Conor Benn, Right? You want me to tell you that this guy has a lot of heart and he has a little something? I don't know, man. I don't think so.
Well, I mean, he showed heart because obviously the bad blood carried. That was true. This was like it kind of did meet the expectations. The bad blood carried. For some reason, these fucking dudes didn't like each other, and maybe now they respect each other. Yeah, against a bigger guy, how did that play out? No, does he get respect? No, he's got something left. What can I say, dude? Oh yeah, because Bucho, in the prior to the fight, I was telling B, this dude, he's showing like a lot of confidence. He's looking smug. He's looking like an entitled like son of a legend or a fucking Hall of Famer. He thinks he's badass. And I told him I don't like his personality. BD told me I don't like either guy. I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was
But
blood.
look, the way Eubank was acting, he thought he was a badass before the fight. Like I was thinking, hopefully this motherfucker gets knocked the fuck out, dude. But he didn't. So he held his ground. In the grand scheme of things, he didn't. This is what I thought too, dude. But this is because I agree. But not many people would surmise that like instantaneously. I think that Ben didn't lose a lot, and Eubank probably lost more. To be honest.
All right, now let me tell people in the
Right.
chat. Listen. I asked 10 people 10 more people need to hit that like. I asked for 80 likes. We're at 70. It's 10 more people hit that like. I'm telling you, we're golden. We're gonna open up the phone
Yeah,
lines
or
if
no
10 more-
phone lines, guys.
10 more people need to hit that like. Let me tell you. Otherwise, there's gonna be trouble. Let's just put it that way. You think filling an arena 60,000 people is something that's beyond my power? I can do that easy. So imagine what I can do if you don't hit that like. You don't want to see it. Let me tell you. All right, listen. I wanted to ask you guys in the chat. I mean, in the panel. I don't know. I'm just rambling now. I wanted to ask you guys. Did you see the under? Oh, Gonzalo, what the fuck, man?
Hold on.
Gonzalo, you gotta call. Okay, now I gotta hear what you were about to say, man. Go ahead. I gotta hear this.
No, because I know the Blazers. They was doing it on purpose. Hey, BD, did you know that that Nigel Benn, that Duran used to teach that Nigel Benn in the ring?
What was it?
Hey, Roberto Duran used to teach Nigel Benn in the ring, like how to slip shots and shit.
Well, I
Like,
did
he would
remember.
fucking tag him up.
There is, you're right. There is a famous video on YouTube where they're both sparring. That's a fat Duran, probably circa late 80s. And he's sparring Ben, and they're just playing around. But man, Duran looked like James Toney in there with the upper body movement, slipping the shots, rolling. I mean, fantastic work there from Duran, one of the best to ever do it. But I was gonna say before we get to the phone lines, if indeed 10 people hit that like, which 2 more people need to hit that like, 2 more people, then we open up the phone lines. Did you guys see the Yardy fight, and what do you think about Yardy versus Benavides?
Dang, I actually didn't get to catch that fight. But Yardy, did he win?
Yes.
It was a close fight. Yeah, he won. It was a close
It was
fight.
a close fight. So that guy Lyndon Arthur, they've already fought twice before, right?
Yes.
Well, that's the third. That's the third. They fought 3 times now.
I think that Yardy versus I'll call him Yarday, right? Because it makes it sound French.
Or Yard. You can call him Yard too.
Call him
American.
Yarday. So him versus Benavides, I've been like that matchup, right? I think this guy has some qualities that could give Benavides problems. He has good power. He's explosive. He's kind of reminds me of Adames, but he's at 175, right? And also his style, and then also I would compare him to someone like David Morrell, who David Benavides just fought. So I think this would be a good test for him at 175, and then it'd be an acceptable challenge that instead of someone like Gosvick, who is not a bad fighter, right? But there's people, we had shit to say about it, right? This dude hasn't fought since he got knocked out. He's old as hell, hoopty whoop. I think Yarday he's a live dog, and he'll give him some problems. You know what I mean? But I would favor David Benavides to beat him.
Make it in England,
Go ahead, Gonzalo.
in the UK. Have this fight in the
Yeah,
UK.
and that would be a good fight in the UK. Yeah, for David Benavides to go out there and get his name around.
No.
Fuck all that,
Sorry, it has to be in
Las Vegas
Vegas.
shit.
Sorry, it has to be in Vegas.
Vegas?
That's where
That's
Benavides
dumb. That's
demands
dumb.
it. He calls the shots, apparently. Him and Samson Lukowicz. It has to be in Vegas.
He's a big star. I don't know if you knew that. He's a big fucking star.
Hey, I just watched an interview with David Benavidez with Andre Ward. This was prior to the Morrell fight. You know what? David Benavidez is a tough motherfucker, dude.
Of course.
They told him his dad. The dude took him to, I think, to Big Bear, and now he had proven a little bit of his mettle. But this was when Golovkin came to America from Kazakhstan, and like they say, well, get ready, David, because his dad told him you're gonna spar that guy. Fucking and David Benavidez said, when I looked at that guy, he says he had the coldest look that he ever seen a human. And then his dad said, hey, you gotta go in the ring with him. And then Benavidez was like, okay, Dad, like whatever, you know.
But you know what's interesting about that is
that was dude. Imagine, dude, that's crazy.
Are you talking about when he was 13 and he had to beat up Triple G?
Well, maybe he was 15 by now because he already fought a lot of times. He's fought a lot of motherfuckers. But
yeah,
he was
there's
still
a clip
like 15, something like that.
When he was 15, he was already like 5'11" or 6 feet tall. I forget, but Benavidez, I do think he beats
Yardy. He had the growth spurt. That's when he went up there. That's when he had the growth spurt.
I agree,
when
man.
When he went to meet Golovkin.
But yeah. Hey, by the way, the fellas, the phone lines are open, so make sure to call in. Phone numbers right there in the left middle portion of your screen. The reason why I brought up Yardy up, and I keep calling him Yardy because that's just the way I roll, but I think Benavidez probably beats him, but I already saw some people on Twitter saying, Benavidez stops Yardy. I mean, the only people who stopped him, Beterbiev and Kovalev. At 175, Benavidez is a slapper. He's going to outwork people. So I don't think he stops Yardy. And I don't think he would stop Arthur either. So there it is, man. But I don't even know if Benavidez is going to stay at 175. We shall see, indeed. Like I said, don't forget. What's that?
No choice.
I don't think Benavidez is stopping Yardy.
He got no choice, BDA. The body, the natural genetics of Benavidez. His weight has been catching up to him ever since he was 15. Having to be like a fat kid. He's never gonna He's never gonna stop being a fat kid, and that's what irks him.
But wait a minute. The guy's 200 something. The guy says he walks at 220, right? Or was it 210? 210, 220.
Yeah. Okay.
So
that
he
was
boasts
a weight
himself.
advantage.
But that's what I'm saying. But Gonzalo, I don't know if you remember. There's that picture of him with Marco Antonio Barrera, and even with the track jacket on, he looks fat. So I think it's him eating. I think, like you said, the fat kid never left him. I don't think necessarily it's only the fat kid body that left. It's the fat kid mentality. And I think Sobers talked about this before. Pretty sure Benavidez, after he's done training, he just starts binging on food like a rabid dog.
Well, not right now, BD. Not right now. It's too important to him. Later, he's gonna blow up worse than Nassim Hamed when he's older in life.
Yeah, but you know what? At least Benavidez, if you're a tall, fat guy, at least you can pull it off. If you're a short, fat guy like Nassim Hamed, who's 5'3", that's a bad look right there. I think that's why he crashed that's why he ran people over back in the 2000s. Remember that? He went to jail for running people over? I think because he was too fat, he couldn't reach the controls properly. I mean, there is such a thing as being too fat.
I could see a money fight between Andy Ruiz and David Benavidez. Like
well, Jim Lampley said that. Jim Lampley said,
like in 2032, in the future.
Well, maybe not that far even. Jim Lampley said Benavidez could compete at heavyweight. I don't know what he was talking about. I don't know what he meant by that, but that's what he was saying. But okay, so what's next? Realistically, what's next for Chris Eubank? You think he's going to take on the guy that just beat Liam Smith, McKenna?
Well, he was rated number 5 in one of the body organizations. So now he's probably rated number 2, which means he's a challenger. Because when you're rated 3-2, you're probably going to get the title shot before the guy is rated number 1 for some reason. That's what I've seen. So
maybe Eubank.
He's in title contention. Let him fight Johnny Bick.
I mean, I was going to ask you guys, do you think Eubank finally cashes out against a big name? But I don't. If that's the case, I don't see it being against Johnny Bick, right? He's not a money name.
It doesn't matter, BDA. It's for if Johnny Bick's not a big name, Eubank is now. He kind of crossed the lines to where he's not the greatest boxer. He's not the most known person, but his dad is, to where it's a crossover. So the star appeal has brought his name up to the like where he's famous. You can say he's famous. Not
all
like
right. Well,
YouTuber.
Well, yeah, maybe. It would be ironic for him to have dogged Golovkin, and then 10 years later he gets beat by another Kazakh. Let me go to the phone lines real quick, and then we'll get back to the. Let me go to the phone lines real quick, and then we'll get back to the panel. Talk about Chris Eubank Jr. Don't forget to hit the like, fellas. Hit the like. Let's go to a phone call here. Let's go to 646. 646. You're on the air. 646. What's on your mind?
Hey, I got a question for Gonzalo. You
go
still
ahead.
selling puppies to your villages, you sick fuck?
He's asking you, Gonzalo, if you're still selling puppies to the mill or something like that.
I got four.
To the villagers.
Villagers, yeah.
I got 4 puppies. Yeah, I got 4 puppies. The number
He's
one
asking
is
you if you
Nutella.
sell them, fool, to the villagers.
Yeah, you sell them to
the
your villages, you sick fuck. I'm surprised you're not in jail.
Yeah. Yeah, I know who that guy is, BDA. Yeah. Rest in peace.
Oh, come on. Did you say rest
You're
in
a
piss?
sick individual.
Hey, Joe.
You're into
Joe.
lady boys, transgenders, and fucking killing puppies. You sick fuck.
Yeah, hey, I hope you
You're
have
a
a heart
fucking
attack.
disgrace. I'm in the hospital. I had to call in and put this sick fuck on.
Hey, BDA.
Yes, Gonzalo, go ahead.
Remind me this guy's name.
It's
Remind me
Joey.
this guy's name.
It's Joey.
It's not Uncle Charles.
It's Joey.
Uncle Charles is badass.
It's Joey. It's Joey.
It's Joey. Joey, hope you have a heart attack.
Joey, baby.
Oh, come on. Wait a minute. Joe, he said Gonzalo said he hopes you have a heart attack.
Yeah, he hopes you die.
Fuck him. Sick
Hey,
fuck.
Joe, it's good to hear from you, man.
No, I got 4 puppies right now. To your question, I have 4 puppies right now. They're 2 months old.
There you go.
Yeah, they'll be gone tomorrow. They'll be gone tomorrow. You'll be selling to your fucking neighbors.
Joe, it's good to hear from
How
you.
do you
man.
have a sick fuck on? I have no idea.
All right. Hold on. Joe, it's good to hear from you.
Hey, Joey,
geez, Luis.
Joey, this is all I have to say. Joey, this is all I have to say. I'm 100% combat veteran, and I got a job too, and I work. It might be fucking cleaning floors and mopping hallways, but I got a job, and I'm 100%.
There you go, Joe.
All right, that's good.
Yeah, that's
All
great.
right, let's
But you
get back
sell puppies and you're still into the lady boys. You know, he was posting pictures on the Discord. He was posting pictures on the Discord of the lady boys he was making out with. It was sick. This guy.
All right, you know what? There's no that's an allegation that needs to be that's an allegation that needs to be corroborated with facts, and right now we don't have the ability to do that. But Joe, it's good to hear from you, man. It's good to hear that you're doing okay. Did you manage to catch the fight there in solitary confinement? I mean, in the hospital where you're at, or what happened?
Oh, the federal.
Yeah, I watched a little of it. Yeah, I get VIP treatment where I'm at, you know.
Right.
But yeah, I saw the fight. It was a good fight. You know, it was great. You know, but then you got this asshole on the line, and then my blood was boiling. And I had to call in.
Don't talk about sober. Don't talk about sobers.
On the show, I'm calling in.
Don't talk about
on the
sobers.
show, I'm calling in to expose you. You sick fuck.
Don't talk about sobers.
You're a disgrace.
And you know he talks this way.
Hey Joe, people in the Discord have been saying that you're some sort of undercover
You're a fucking
guy.
Fed. This guy's a Fed. That's
people
what
are saying.
is.
You're a Fed.
He's a whiner. He's a faggot.
Nah, I'm no
He's a
fed.
faggot.
Nah, okay, come on.
Trust me, if I was a fed, Gonzalo would be in jail by now.
All right. Well, listen,
He'd be in jail.
I could listen to this all day, but we got to move on here. We got business to get to. So shout out to
I
Joe.
love you guys. Make sure, recognize, you know I love you. But Gonzalo, I hope you get hit by a bus. I truly, sincerely mean that, you puppy killer.
Hope you die too.
You guys have a good day.
Hope you die too.
All right, Gonzalo and Joe going at it. Shout out to Joe. Hope he's doing
They should get a room.
Hey, BDA, remember the first time that guy talked, I told you I don't like that motherfucker. Remember I told you?
Well, I think, but I think the feeling's mutual. I think you guys just don't jive.
That
Which
shit
is
was
weird.
Right off the bat, I hate this motherfucker.
It's
He's a
weird
piece of
because
shit.
he's a guy that's pro-American and all that, and you're a veteran, so he's supposed to be supportive of you. All right, don't forget to hit that like, fellas. Hit the like. Phone lines are open. Let's go to our phone call. Let's go to 323. You're on the air. 323. What's on your mind?
He's a sick fuck.
That's a good impersonation right there. What's up, Don Madrazos?
Hey, so I thought that was I thought that was an audio recording you were playing for the first 2 minutes. I didn't realize that was actually him. That's JDA, right? Or what's his name?
You better watch out what you say. You've got a lot of audio recordings, if you know what I'm saying.
Ah, come on, come on.
Is he gonna?
Are you still there, Don Madrazos?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I didn't want to cut you off, but no, I can't believe people were saying that they don't want the rematch for that fight. I thought that fight was fucking amazing. It was entertaining. We're not listen, you motherfucking ingrates out there.
Right, don't
we're not
going
to get this fucking. We're not going to get this fucking fight on May 3rd with Garcia or Barboza, any of those. We're not going to get this.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to get. I understand that they may not be the level, the skill level of fighters that you like, or your favorite American fighters, or whoever the fuck. But that was awesome. That was great. That was amazing. They took a lot of damage, both guys. I think Eubank got hurt more in the fight than Benn. Benn got hurt towards the end, and he held up. His chin held up, and he was getting hit square. And I think, from what it looked like, it looked like Eubank may have broken his jaw or something. It looked like he had a broken face.
Yeah,
honestly.
You're right.
Like his face did not look good. He was also really slow to respond at first. Like he was really. I mean, I get it. You went through hell. You went through a hellish fight, but the amount of damage those guys took. Conor Benn, man, he's only 27. He took a lot of damage for that. He went through a war. So kudos to him. I think he did a really good job. I think he held in there. I gave it to Eubank. I think I gave it to Eubank by maybe one round. I had it really close. I didn't like the scorecards, of course, but we're definitely going to see a rematch. I hope we get to see a rematch quick because I don't think Eubank has much left in the tank, especially at his weight class. Mm-hmm. I don't think he really beats a lot of guys in the top level at his weight class. I think he's going to be a domestic level fighter, primarily just a domestic level fighter, and he's not going to move past that. We're never going to see him in a real championship fight. But if we can have another one like this, and most likely these fights, when they do a rematch, they end up like this again. We may get a decision again. But it was entertaining. It exceeded my expectations. I was in for the fight, especially after seeing the Pierce Morgan interview.
Uh-huh.
I thought these guys really hate each other. They didn't even hug it out after the fight. Did you notice that? No. Did anybody notice that if they even shook hands or hugged it out at the end of the fight?
I didn't catch it. I shut it off as soon as it ended because I had to set this up.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so that animosity is still carrying over. Yeah, so I think we're going to get a good rematch, and I hope that it's on a good card this time. I hope that we have a really good card on the next one, because obviously this one's going to generate a lot more buzz.
Yeah, he delivered.
Anyway, I'll leave it at that. See you guys later.
All right, take it easy, man. Shout out to Don Madrazos. No, I said finally a fight that delivered. This with all the pomp and circumstance beforehand, finally delivered, and it's good. See, Don Madrazos, it finally having low expectations finally worked out for you. So that's good right there, man. That's everyone won. Yeah. Everyone won tonight. All right, take it easy, Don Madrazos. Thank you for your call, man. Talk to you next time. All right. That was Don Madrazos right there. Let's go to our phone call, fellas. The phone number is right there in the left-hand middle portion of your screen. It's in the chat as well. I'm going to post it on the marquee position later on. Let's go to our phone call. Let's go to 669. 669, you're on the air. 669, what's on your mind?
Yo, what's up, Mr. Rudier?
What's up, 669?
Honestly, I was surprised by the quality of fight. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Well, first of all, are you on speakerphone or Bluetooth?
I'm surprised that, Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think you're still on the Bluetooth, though. If you're on Bluetooth, take it off, man. That way we'll be able to hear you properly.
Okay, what about now? Is that good?
A little better. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was on speaker.
Go ahead.
Anyway, I was surprised by the quality of fight, and I thought Conor Benn really gassed out towards the end of the fight. I don't know if you guys noticed that, and yeah, like I don't know who said this. I think Sober said it, but it was clearly a very dirty fight. I was surprised no points were taken away.
Well, first of all, Sober says a lot of things, but yeah, you were. I mean, did you enjoy the fight? That type of dirty aspect of the fight that both guys were permitted to be dirty. Did you enjoy that, or did you go? I don't like the rough stuff.
I know it's violating the rules, but at least I like it better when the ref doesn't pick a side. You know.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. Who did you say you had winning, by the way?
Coming into the fight, I thought Conor Benn was going to get Eubank out of there, but I think the decision's right. I think Eubank did win more rounds.
All right. So
barely, but he did win more rounds.
Are you interested in a rematch? Because a lot of people are raving about how good the fight was.
I think they both should be interested in a rematch because where else do they go from here? I don't think they beat any of the top guy in that division either. So unless they call out Canelo, I guess Eubank, and tries to get that fight, I don't think there's a fight for him anymore anywhere else. He's old. He's not that good of a fighter. Why not run it back?
I mean, I guess we'll see. As far as I'm concerned, it was a good fight. It was a good evening of boxing, and I want more evenings such as this. All right, well, listen, caller, we're going to move on here, but thank you for your call, and call back next time. Take it easy out there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Fellas, don't forget to hit the like. Really helps us out. And the phone lines are open right there. Phone numbers in that left-hand middle portion of your screen, and it's going to remain there for the remainder of the show. In fact, let me put it up on the marquee here. There you go. There's the phone number, 320-412-2035. That's 320-412-2035. Make sure to call in. Give us your thoughts on the fight. Now, I'm curious, going back to the panel here. You heard the callers talking about a rematch. What are the chances that the rematch matches expectations, or just maybe a little bit below that, but still that it manages to create an entertaining fight? What are the odds?
Well, to me,
Conor Benn just tweeted 2 minutes ago, "Oi, congrats, Chris Eubank Jr., but this ain't over."
Oh.
I think we know what he wants.
Well, to me, it could go two ways. Like, this is the short answer. In other words, if Conor Benn can move up in weight and still, like, after tasting Eubank's power, do like Canelo did against Golovkin, where in the second fight he does better? No, not really, because in this fight, he wasn't really running. He was standing his ground. Well, now, how can how can Nigel Benn still have it to where he has a chance to where he's making his power count? Kind of like Canelo, but Canelo gained confidence all of a sudden in the second fight where he was more on the back foot. Benn was holding his ground and he couldn't compete. So at the same time, Eubank already understands that Benn can't hurt him either.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, man. Maybe Eubank wins more clearly. Eubank still has a chance. But does Eubank's power carry to he hurts a 60/68 pounder? No, because he's way fighting out of his division.
All right. Well, how about recognize Sobers or Bucho? What do you guys think? Do you think a rematch could meet the expectations that the first one created?
Well, I don't know because are they going to have it at the same weight? This dude couldn't even make 160. So they're going to ask him to go even lighter. Or are they going to be at a catch weight at 164? This dude, neither of these guys can make 160, right? So so Conor Benn was under 160. He was like 156. And this dude, Chris Eubank, was over 160, right? So I don't see how it's kind of a freak show fight. How are you going to make this freak show happen again?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
No,
separate ways.
No, but let me mention this because it's already that was the surest path to be taken, because like if we're drawing at straws trying to figure out what's the best option, the rematch is already signed, sealed, and secured.
Well,
so
I
that's
don't know.
probably the fight that's going to happen, and it's still a good fight, and it's probably going to make more money.
I don't know,
yes,
but
clearly there is going to be a rematch.
I was surprised at this. For the big audience that they managed to pack into that arena, a stadium rather. The fact that it generated, I'm going to assume it generated a lot of money, a lot of press. The fact that Eddie Hearn, when he was asked about a rematch right after the fight, apparently that's what he said. He said they asked him about a rematch. He says, we'll see. Usually when there's this big event, this type of atmosphere, he'll say, yes, absolutely. I think, right? Maybe I'm misremembering here, but the fact that he said, I will see, was kind of ambivalent about it. I don't know. It seems like maybe they don't want to go through this whole thing again. I mean, both guys had to go to hell in these 12 rounds.
Hey, BDA, can you clear up something that I don't know, but I'm asking?
I'll try.
Like, because it's a UK event, is this in-house to where Eddie Hearn is like the sole promoter? Or is just divvied up into
Shalom
and Benn?
Shalom was one of the promoters as well, but like Sober said, it seemed like it was for all intents and purposes, it was a matchroom event with everything that was going on. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there were a lot of advantages for Conor Benn, and he still he fell short, but at the same time, he almost beat. In my eyes, he gave Chris Eubank hell, man. I mean, Eubank kept looking up at the clock. So, if there's another rehydration clause, I think it could be another band burner for sure.
Hey, BDA, is Shalom a Jew name? I think that's the Jewish name I've ever heard.
I mean, the dude walks around with a yarmulke, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume he's not a culture vulture. He's not just wearing that, like, white college students wear the Rasta threads. I think that's really that he's the real deal.
That sounds like a Jewish word, no? Like on shalom, no? Like something.
Yeah, is that how they say goodbye or some shit? Shalom. Or something
yeah,
like
shalom is goodbye.
Yeah.
Hello and goodbye. It's hello and goodbye. That's what it means.
No disrespect to the Jews before I get taken out.
Ah, come on. What else? What else? What recognize Sobers, Bucho. What else? What else can we expect? Yeah.
Wait, what about Gonzalo? What about the guns?
I think I just heard from you, so I was just asking.
What about me?
No, BDA.
What
BDA,
about me?
I think what about no, BDA? Hey, you guys. I think the fact that we're jumping into freaking the Times Square card, that's crazy. No, that's also like a Ring magazine cover.
That's a good point, Gonzalo.
The fights in Times Square.
That's a great point. We got this week.
Tell you, BDA, you know which fight I think is real good? Barbosa versus Teofimo. And Ramirez versus Haney. Those are good fights.
Well, Gonzalo, we're going to talk about those fights in this week. But yeah, think about this. Think about it. 3 interesting fights on Friday. Canelo fighting on Saturday. Everyone always watches Canelo. It's always a big show. The undercard's pretty good too. You got Munguia against the Frenchman. Revenge. And he should beat the Frenchman. If he doesn't beat this dude, retire already. We don't want to see you.
Yeah.
You also got Badu Jack against a top contender, I believe, at cruiserweight. And then you also got, this is the one I'm looking forward to too. Ajagba versus Bakoli. It's going to be an African adventure between Nigeria and the Congo. I forget which Congo because there's 2 Congos on the map. So one of the Congos against Nigeria, 2 big dudes are going to be throwing down. I got to tell you, that's a pretty good card. And then the next day, you got Inoue, always Mossy TV, even though it's against a guy that's not really, that big a deal. But still, it's Inoue. We always want to see him fight. Man, I'm looking forward to those 3 fights in a row.
Oh, hey.
In a row.
And I heard that guy. I heard that guy's underrated. The guy that Inoue is fighting, the Mexican dude. I heard he punches harder than his record. That is what his record says. Because in his record, he doesn't have like that many knockouts. But I heard that dude can really punch.
Well, I'll say this,
from one of the coaches.
Inoue has been looking human. Inoue has been looking human at 122, man. Tapales gave him, other than the Fulton fight, which he dominated. He got dropped against El Panterita. What's his name? Tapales touched him up a little bit. What was the other fight that he had, though? He had another fight, right? A 122.
With Donito Donaire.
You know what? I'm starting to blank out, man. What was the other no-name he fought? Who?
Donaire and Donahue, the English dudes.
TJ Donahue, yeah. Doheny,
yeah, he didn't. I mean, he stopped the guy, but he was looking a little bit. I was expecting Inoue to blow him out, and he didn't. He actually won a couple of rounds with the guy. So is Inoue starting to look human?
Yeah,
that's an interesting point right there.
Of course.
Shout out to
that's
Joe.
A good fight. If you
let me talk about Joe here for a minute, Gonzalo. Let me talk about Joe for a minute. Joe says, hold on a second. How's this working? He says, recognize, thanks for the sympathy. I've been in the hospital for the past 4 months. You calling me a fed, that's fucked up. I thought you were my BDA brother and Gonzalo sells his puppies. And then I can see the rest of the message. Recognize, he says he doesn't like you calling him a fed. What's up with that? Recognize, are you there? No, Recognize is muted. I mean, I don't know. I really, you know what? We don't get much to talk to anymore here, but I don't know why Joe really has. It seems he's not kidding around. He really has it in for Gonzalo, it seems.
Hey, yeah. What was the deal with Billy Joe Saunders again? Like, did he ever make it into the dressing room of
I don't think so.
Eubank?
I don't
Check
think
on
so.
those raps.
I don't think so. It didn't seem like it. He was trying to get into it with one of the guy guarding the entrance there to the dressing room. And you know what? Billy Joe Saunders might be a fatso, and the other guy might have been bigger. But I don't underestimate these gypsies, man. They grow up fighting bare knuckle. You know what? I tell you what. If Shakur Stevenson would have grown up in that area, I think right now he'd be walking around with 2 metal hands, because his hands would be all shot. I don't think he'd make it as a bare knuckle boxer. Look at his hands right now. They're all scarred up like an old woman's pussy, like an old horse pussy, to be more exact. So, yeah. Telling you.
Yeah, John just told me, my roommate say, hey, Gonzalo, you just missed 3 gorgeous girls walking on the side of the street.
Well, that's good information to know. Listen, we're going to keep it a short show. The phone lines were open here. I don't know if anybody else wants to call in, but I got nothing, man. We already talked about this Chris Eubank Benn fight, and we're going to have, like I said, 3 events back-to-back. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right? So there's going to be a lot to talk about.
You're saving your energy for next week, huh?
Recognize, you know this. As you get older, you got to know how to pace yourself. You can still do at the same intensity and power that you used to, but you just can't sustain it as long. Or maybe I'm just speaking about me.
Maybe I can set up an open lines right after this. Depends if there's demand.
Well, I mean, Butcher, it's a bit of a stretch, man. I think there's not much to talk about.
Yeah, maybe, huh? Or maybe we'll do it tomorrow.
I mean, hey, listen.
Or maybe we'll do it off the air. I'll do it off the air. We'll see.
All right, maybe Butcher's going to keep the party going on Discord. So if anybody wants to, which open lines, Discord, Butcher or Renaissance Talk?
BDA just pulled the keys from Bucho. He's at home. You're not doing it, Bucho.
I might not do it. I don't know. It might be too much. It might be too much. Too many shows.
I think people can handle it.
You're weak.
I think people can handle
You're weak.
Sober says that there's already
people
like
you guys.
Sober is saying that.
Oh
my goodness gracious! Let me just say something real quick. Never Sobers is saying that there's right now there's still people on his Discord. So if people want to jump on Sobers' Discord, maybe Food TV is gonna stream, or maybe Sobers would stream. I don't know. Sobers, can we give me the link to your? Because I don't even know if I can invite people from your Discord. So if you give me your link, I can post it on the chat. People will find their way over there.
I'll drop it in the. Fantastic. I'll give it to you in 1 second.
Fantastic. And yeah, because I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, listen, I'm Chris Eubank and Conor Benn. Okay, rematch. Chris Eubank, he's probably not going to fight any of the top guys. I don't see him fighting Janibek. It would be a pleasant surprise. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to be wrong about that, but
he can't make 160.
Yeah, man.
He's a great opponent in the future for Canelo at 168.
You think? Well, yeah, he's got that Canelo payday. I'm pretty sure he's itching for that one.
Yeah,
but
it's a knockout victim.
His name's already been floated around there with him.
All right, let me ask you this.
We know he can't even make 160, right? So he has to go to 168. That's why I don't see him fighting Conor Benn again, because like, bro, you can't even make the weight.
Right.
If you're not gonna fight Johnny Bick, you could fight. You know who you can fight? You can fight Hamzat Shiraz or Carlos Adames.
Oh yeah, you're right. Shiraz, UK guy. You're right. Well, I mean, Shiraz now has to get past Berlanga, but okay. Let me ask you this. Eubank Jr. at 168 against Mbili.
It's a good fight. I think Mbili wins, but yeah, it's a good fight.
Sobers, Bucho, what do you guys think?
I would say Mbili.
What?
Why would it be
Mbili versus Eubank?
Yeah.
I would like to see it.
Well, okay, but who would win?
Who I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think Billy's that good. I think Chris Eubank might be able to outbox him.
You know what? Sobers and,
You know,
Sobers and Bucho are acting like Salidas. I ask a question and you answer a completely different one. Sobers goes, I'd like to see it. And then Bucho goes, who wants to see that fight? Why would that fight happen? Like, that's not what I asked you. I asked who wins.
No, I said what? I said who wins though? Who wins? Who wins? That's what I asked.
Between who?
I think Connor Ben punches.
This is the shit show.
Guys. What's so
I would
special
favor
about
Chris
Eubank
Eubank
Jr.?
outboxing.
What's so special about Eubank Jr. at this point?
You know what's special?
This
Bucho?
fight didn't change.
I'll answer that question.
This fight didn't give him more credit.
60,000 people.
He's still the
That's
same guy as before.
No. 60,000 people. That's what's special. 60,000 people. 60,000 people. 6 million. That's what's special about him. Never forget 60,000 and the 6 million.
Billy punches harder than Ben because he's bigger. He punches harder than Ben. It's like what you saw from Yardy and Arthur. Those two can punch. Was that the fight that I was watching? They can punch, dude. Like Arthur, that dude that fought Yardy, he was fucking him up, dude. But Yardy won. He pulled it out.
There you go. Bucho, I don't know if you heard.
Lyndon Arthur.
Yeah, Lyndon
Arthur was fucking him up.
Well, we'll see. But Bucho, you asked. I don't know if you heard me, but you asked, what does Chris Eubank bring to the table? 60,000 people. That's what he brings to the table. How about that? 60,000 paying customers, cash, liquid. None of that. These other bullshit guys, fire stick boys, as they call them. This is the real deal when it comes to attraction level over at the UK. And I gotta tell you, rematch, I'd be okay with it. But what's that? Well, go ahead, man.
No, BD. Look, you saw the Liam, that Beefy Smith. He got tagged up by some kid.
Right.
That dude was life and death with Eubank. Right.
That's
he just
true,
got tagged up. Like, yeah. So, they like you said before, like level between levels. Even if you get an older guy, most of like the older guys, mid-30s, they've been on the pound for pound list. Marquez, freaking Mayweather, Pacquiao. Even in their mid-30s, they're in the Bernard Hopkins. Those two, you cannot beat those guys because there's levels to the game. There's a chink in Eubank's armor that he's never going to be able to fuck with those guys.
Come on, that's not politically correct to say that word. But let me tell you, you might have a point there, Gonzalo. You might have a point, and we'll see what happens, man. But yeah, Chris Eubank, I get what Butch is saying though. Like, what the fuck? Chris Eubank's probably not gonna fight any of these dangerous guys.
Politically correct to say that.
I'm just no, but
if there was a Chinese guy fighting in the what I'm mentioning, but no.
I know, but still, you never know with these people. You never know with these people. I mean, you already got Joe.
There's no cheese in the conversation.
I know, but Gonzalo, you already got Joe trying to get a whiff of your ass. If you say something, he might be able to use it to get you fired or something. You know what I mean?
And by the way, that's JDA. That's JDA. I've heard him by another name. That's JDA in the chat.
That's right. That's JDA. I mean, you should be able to recognize him right off the bat, man. That's Joe. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. What an absolute disgrace. I mean, I got to tell you, you can't miss him. All right, listen, we're going to call it a day. I'm going to post Sobers' Discord link again. There's a party going on there in the VC. So if you want to keep on talking boxing with people, I suggest you go over there. That's Sobies. What the fuck? Is that the real name that appears on Discord? Sobi?
That's what happens when you get those custom Discord links when you got the level 3 Discord video.
Yeah, that's true. I am jealous of that level 3. I refuse to pay. I refuse to pay. Let me tell you, they already got my information. Now they want money out of me. They can go kiss my ass. They can lick my ass. How about that? Well, listen, fellas, thank you for joining us. Recognize Sobers, Gonzalo, Bucho. Shout out to you, fellas. Lion Legal was here for 2 minutes. Shout out to him. Shout out to everybody who donated via the super chat. Everybody who called in. And of course, everybody who joined us here on the show. What can I say? HJ92, Alejandro Solis, Eat My Monkey 74. What a name! Dark Reality. King Bucho was there, keeping things in order.
Nice.
Entombed. I don't know. Daniel Simpkins, Dex 2024.
Entombed.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, entombed. You know what? People always say, "Oh, do you want to be buried, burned, cremated?" Nah, entombment. How about that? Like
Entomb me, baby.
That's right. Entombment, like an Edgar Allan Poe story. That's what I want. Well, when I'm dead, by the way, not when I'm alive. Anyway, shout out to Let Me Ace, to Matador, Dark Reality, why are you mentioning him? Solidas T, Daniel Simpkins, Soda, Joe, Federico Grisales, aka Papi Manteca, shout out to him. Langsbury, Gwen Lassiter, Sate Soda. Geez Luis, if I forget anybody, it's because we gotta go. JumpTube, H892. Guys, thank you for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to hit the like on the way out. Hit the like, hit the